Hello, everybody. So, I have now officially finished high school, which is quite the accomplishment, I would say. At least it's an accomplishment, for sure. So I figured, um, to mark the occasion, I would do a reading. Haven't done one of these in a while, it's been a little bit. I'd mark the occasion by reading Little Miss Brainy, because that's what I am now. I'm Brainy. I got all the knowledge I could ever need. Ever. Ever. So I figured we'd read Little Miss Brainy together. Welcome to all those who are coming back. Welcome to all those who are new. My previous two videos have been pushed by the algorithm very heavily, so I don't know how many new people there will be on this one. But thanks for stopping by if you're new. But, I think we need to just get into Little Miss Brainy and see what she has to say to us today. So, Little Miss Brainy. And I think this is one of the ones actually by Roger Hargreaves. It's old enough. So, let's get into it. Little Miss Brainy was very brainy. She knew an awful lot of things. She knew simple things, such as if you want a good night's sleep, you have to go to bed. Okay, so off to an interesting start. The blue is very dark, so it's hard to see her eye, but she does have one eye. She does have an eye right there. I don't quite know what's happening with these. The little triangles poking out of her hair. Little Miss Brainy was very brainy is really strong exposition. Really letting us know the character. I'm glad that it outlines that if you want a good night's sleep, you have to go to bed. I'm glad that outlines that that's a simple thing. Because I'm fearful. I'm not fearful, but I'm definitely, so far, I'm not convinced that Miss Brainy has much more than common sense, but I mean, we're just in the first page of exposition, so. But yeah, she's making her bed, she's ready for that good night's sleep. And if you want to get up, then first you have to wake up. So I'm sensing that Little Miss Brainy doesn't actually know a lot of things. If we've spent a whole page just on the idea of if you want to get out of bed, you have to be conscious. I don't have high hopes going forward that, like, she's gonna, like, solve all the problems of Mr. Land. Like, I think there's a reason she probably doesn't have a government job, but does Mr. Land have a government? Unclear. She knew that if you don't want to be hungry, you have to eat. Okay, so she's really just like, this is just like basic, knows how to function as an entity. I won't say human, because they're not really human, but like she's clearly understanding her biological requirements as a being, which is great for her. Really happy for her about that. Okay, now we're past the simple things. Little Miss Brainy also knew lots of clever things. She knew that it is quite impossible for centipedes to find matching colored shoes for all their feet. It's a very cute little picture of a centipede with all mismatched colored shoes. I wouldn't quite call that clever. Like, I don't want to, like, say anything about Little Miss Brainy's intelligence or cognitive function so far, but I wouldn't exactly call the concept of centipedes not having matching shoes clever. I would call that an idea for sure. But clever isn't a word that I would use. Now, Little Miss Brainy knew so much that people got to hear about it. They came from far and wide to ask her questions. I guess there's no, like, internet or anything, so, like, when we Google dumb questions of, like, how many legs does a centipede have and why can't they have matching shoes, I guess there is no resource other than Little Miss Brainy in Mr. Land to find out. They also kind of, the portraits of the characters are a little wonky. Like Mr. Small doesn't quite look right here. Little Miss Tiny doesn't look right. They all don't quite look right. Let's see what things have got to say. Mr. Messy came to see her. What can I do to keep myself messy? He asked. I know, cried little Miss Brainy. Don't wash. Mr. Messy was delighted. So this feels like a scam. I get it that she's not charging people. At least it doesn't specify that she's charging people for her services. But, like, I feel like Mr. Messy could have, if he just thought a little bit, he could have figured that one out on his own. As Mr. Messy was leaving, Mr. Dizzy arrived. Sorry, I just read ahead. Is there anything heavier than a hippopotamus? Asked Mr. Dizzy. I know, said little Miss Brainy. 2 hippopotamuses. Is that so? Said Mr. Dizzy. I'll go and check. So I'm really getting the vibes here that little Miss Brainy isn't exactly, like, a high achiever on this list in terms of, like, she doesn't understand. She seems to be a bit more of like a factoid box rather than like brainy. But I guess that is brainy in some contexts, and to a child who's reading this book, that would be brainy. See, all media is about understanding the intended audience and interpreting it through such a lens. Now this is too much. Mr. Clever arrived. What color is my green hat? He asked. I know, sighed little Miss Brainy, nodding her head. It's green, of course. Oh, you know so many clever things, exclaimed Mr. Clever. So you're telling me Mr. Clever? I feel like people are just punking little Miss Brainy at this point. I think this is like a Mr. Land inside joke that you ask little Miss Brainy dumb questions. And like, this has to be satirical. 'Cause you can't tell me that Mr. Clever is like, what color is my green hat? There's something not adding up here. I'm waiting for when they all announce that they're publicly gaslighting little Miss Brainy. Anyways, here's Mr. Clever. I need them to, like, come clean and publicly announce that they're gaslighting her. Mr. Clever left, and so did little Miss Brainy. She had enough of listening to such simple questions. She really needs to hear about those centipede shoes, I guess, because I think that was the only example of something clever, was centipede shoes. Yeah. She had enough of listening to such simple questions, so she traveled to a place called Cleverland, where she hoped that everybody would ask her some difficult questions for a change. I don't understand what's happening. I can't grasp what's going on here, in all honesty. I'm just a little lost. When she got there, she stopped in front of a tree. There was a pig sitting on one of its branches. How am I going to get down from here? Wailed the pig. I know, said little Miss Brainy. You can jump down. Is that the best? I get that it's not like a huge height, but I feel like you could have thought of a safer solution than this, little Miss Brainy. I really think. Also, what's with this posture? Why are you at a 45-degree angle, like Leaning Tower of Pisa? Like, what's going on here? This is not healthy spine. There is not a healthy spine in little Miss Brainy if you're like your center of mass is not over your feet. What's happening? Anyways. Good idea, said the pig. And being a Cleverland pig, he jumped right on top of little Miss Brainy. You're not as soft as a pillow, he complained. and he trotted off. Little Miss Brainy had it coming, kind of, when she was like, jump. Was the pig supposed to do? Jump? Break their legs? No. That's how it goes. I think Little Miss Brainy kind of, like... I think this is what Little Miss Brainy needed. I hope this is a wake-up call to Little Miss Brainy of, like, I need to come up with better solutions. Further down the road, Little Miss Brainy met an elephant. So why is Miss Cleverland exclusively habitated by animals? That's a whole other question. Further down the road, Little Miss Brainy met an elephant. He had a knot tied in his trunk. Please help me. How can I undo this? Id by trunk? He asked in a funny sort of way, because his trunk, so it's like his nose is like nasally. It's like, you know. I know, said Little Miss Brainy. I'll undo it for you. And she did. Phew, gasped the elephant. If there's a knot in something, and the knot is the problem, is it a clever solution to undo the knot? Or is it just I would argue that's a simple solution. I would argue Little Miss Brainy is not getting challenged. She needs to go on Jeopardy and get, like, her ass whooped to, like, understand how little she knows in the grand context of things. Or maybe she's the most smart person in Mr. Land, and if so, that's an issue. And blew Little Miss Brainy high into the air. I feel so much better now, said the elephant. So he was, I guess, just, like, storing the power behind the knot, and as soon as she undid it, it just, like a I don't know, 100 PSI air blast just came and just, like, rocked Little Miss Brainy back. Crazy. I don't, moaned Little Miss Brainy, in reference to feeling better, and rubbed her head. The elephant had blown her some distance away, and she landed in front of a... I'm seeing a lion here. He looks very friendly, though. He doesn't look like a mean lion. So I don't know why we're, like, building the suspense, because he looks like a very nice lion. Lion! I'm starving, growled the lion. What can I eat? Little Miss Brainy looked around, and she could see nothing, and said quickly... I feel like Little Miss Brainy might get herself in some trouble. The lion is just so jolly. Just like, hey, Little Miss Brainy, what can I eat? I'm hungry. But as we can see, desolate. Desolate. And I think Little Miss Brainy's a little worried. I don't know, and ran home before the lion realized that she was the only thing to eat for miles around. That's the end of it. So, I mean, at least she can admit when she... Well, she did know. So she lied. But she lied to save herself and, like, realized that she had to run and leave. So, like, good on Little Miss Brainy for being, like, resourceful, I guess, and, you know, surviving. But also, I really don't think we ever truly saw Little Miss Brainy's capabilities. Because she kept saying, I want to answer more than just simple questions. But when it's like, I'm at a high place, how do I get down? Jump. I have a knot in my trunk. How do I get rid of it? Undo the knot. Those don't seem like heavy-hitting questions. So I'm really... I don't know, I'm kind of underwhelmed by Little Miss Brainy's performance here. I feel like Brainy implies a bit more, but I mean, you know, at least I can say that I am as smart as Little Miss Brainy, because I think I could think of those. Maybe it would take me a little bit to think of the centipede shoe thing, because that's a little out of the box. But, you know, I feel like the public education system I would have gotten there eventually. I might have just had to think about it a little bit. Well, yeah. So that's Little Miss Brainy. I now join her ranks among the educated in society. So yay for me. Hope you all enjoyed this little story. Um, yeah. Have a lovely day. I'll see you around. And yeah. Toodles. Bye bye.